Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I am here today to talk about the 29th title I have read for my sci-fi, fantasy, and weird exploration, and that is Heir to the Empire. This is a Star Wars novel, and it is by Timothy Zahn. This was published back in 1991. It is the first in the Thrawn Trilogy? I have a hard time saying that. Thrawn Trilogy. It is definitely a science fiction novel set in space. Although Star Wars does have fantasy elements to it with the Force. But anyway, it is the 29th title I mentioned for this project. It actually took me 3 months to read this. I read a bunch of it, like 30% of it at one time, and then the remainder of it at a different point in time. I ended up giving it a 7 out of 10 or a 3.5 out of 5 and on Goodreads. And I'm not totally sure how I feel about it, but let's see if we can figure that out as we go through this reviewish thing. So this is set after Return of the Jedi. So all of the things that have happened in the original trilogy of films have happened, and I'm actually trying to remember, when did the Phantom Menace came out? In like 2001, so it's actually set after the original trilogy and before the prequel trilogies were released in terms of the films. I chose it because I love Star Wars and I have never read a Star Wars novel, so this was a first for me. I had heard that this one was fun and fast paced, and I do agree with the fun part. I don't know if I would consider it fast paced. One of the questions I always ask myself in terms of, okay, one liner, what was this about? So we follow, oh gosh, what was this about? How do I say this very succinctly? We follow, yeah, we're getting to the problems I had with this book. So when we follow Luke, Han, Leia, and Chewie, and Lando, they're all in this, as well as R2 and C-3PO. Although C-3PO was not in it tons. But this and yeah, gosh, I'm not quite sure what this was about. That is one of my challenges with this, because the next question I have for myself is, did I understand it? And I'm really on the fence with this, because I could follow the fact that there's, okay, I'm gonna keep this spoiler free, especially because Star Wars spoilers really, really hurt my heart because of family history. My family had Empire Strikes Back. The big thing in Empire Strikes Back was spoiled to my family, so there's still hurt many years later for that. But anyway, so yeah, so I don't even know. Did I understand it? So I guess the answer really to that one is not a lot. Like, there's a new bad person in charge of the Empire. I think that's Thrawn. I'm not even totally sure. There is someone that sort of gets taken under his wing, I think, and she ends up working for someone else, and she's got a beef with Luke for sure. Then there's this mysterious potential other person out there that could have a connection to the Force as well. And then that's actually not even the story. I feel like that is sort of like the setup for the series, like the trilogy. But the story was pretty action packed. There is lots of stuff that goes on. Like Han, Luke, and Leia are trying to figure stuff out. There was some it's spoilery stuff that bugged me, and it's in my Goodreads review. What bugged me about the book, some gender dynamics, especially given this series, the film series is pretty good that way, really good that way. And so like some of that was a little like, I don't know. And like for me, honestly, the things that I didn't understand about it, like some of the space battles, I found hard to follow what was physically going on. Not the in person, like person to person or creature to creature or that stuff. That was fine, and there was actually some really good ones that I enjoyed that way. But the space battles and ship battles, I was like, I couldn't figure it out. I just sort of read it and waited for the resolve and figured, okay, so this is what happened. Like, this is what the end result is. I don't know how they got there. So there was that. But there was a fair amount to enjoy in this one for me as well. But I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed being with the characters. I love the characters. Star Wars is without a question my favorite film of all time. The original, Star Wars Episode 1, A New Hope. Like, and nothing will ever stand in its place because nostalgia and repeat watch and history and just so many memories wrapped up with it. And I don't don't, you know, if it has faults, if people consider it, I don't care. I really don't. It's just my favorite movie of all time, and nothing's going to shake that. And it's not even a conversation. So this was an opportunity to see more of this world, to hang out with the characters, especially Han, Luke, and Leia, and Chewie, and R2. But it's hard to, is like R2 and 3PO, it was hard to like get, like, because it's all so much of the sounds and stuff like that. And this is available in audiobook on Scribe, but I decided not to listen to it that way, because even though I read Catalyst, I listened to Catalyst, I did like to see the hear the sounds, but the voices are going to be different. So, but when I read this, I could see and hear the characters in their own voices, like the actors' voices, and so that worked for me. So I decided not to go for the audiobook for that. So that's what I enjoyed doing. I enjoyed spending time with the characters. Leia and Chewie had some great stuff, like great scenes with them, and I really enjoyed some of that aspect. Luke is an interesting character because he's not totally likable. Like, he is supposed to be like the likable one, but of course Han is actually ends up being more likable in that sort of cad rogue kind of way. So, but everyone's awesome, and so I enjoyed that part of it. But it's also, I realized it was horrible timing in terms of reading this, because I started it in July 2019 and finished it in October 2019, and of course there is a new film coming out in December, and I was like, I don't, like, if this leads into that film, I have no idea if it does. Like, that, it's horrible timing. I don't want any spoilers. I'm not going to watch any trailers. I am a Star Wars fan. I will see it in the theater, and that's how I want to experience it. So if this led into anything that is revealed there, I'm going to be a little mad at myself for not realizing this was a bad choice in terms of timing. So yeah, and it wasn't really what I expected. I thought it would be easier, but I think that's a bit on me. I think I'm going to be working on that. I felt like it was a little harder to understand, and it took a little longer to read, and I got impatient with myself with that, which is why I put it to the side. I'm glad that I came back to it. I'm glad that I finished it. I don't know if I would continue the series, and if I do, it will be after I see the 9th film, like after I see episode 9. It'll be in 2020, which actually will probably be when I will release this review, because I don't want to accidentally spoil anything for anyone else or get any spoilers. So I probably will post this review in the far-ish future after I have seen episode 9. So I hope you don't mind the retrospective, interpretation. Or it's not retrospective because I did just finish it sort of this week. So anyway, so I am glad that I read it, but I do think I should have been smarter about the timing. But if you have read it, and if you have read the trilogy, let me know, did you enjoy it? But please no spoilers for me or for anyone else. I feel very strongly with that about Star Wars. But I am glad that I read it, but I'm not quite sure if I would continue. I also felt like they really did plant the seeds for the trilogy, and I kind of forgot it was 1 out of 3. So for me, although I felt like there was a lot of story and adventure and interest in this one book, I did kind of feel like, oh yeah, this is 1 of 3. Like, you really felt like that. And I felt like if I wanted to get, like, work on critical analysis and stuff, I could probably plot out how similar or dissimilar this is to the first film, but I actually don't really have a super interest in that. So, and I am curious about it, but I felt like I thought we would get more than the planted seeds. Like, with the seeds that sprouted, I thought would be different seeds. So I felt like they led on a few places where we didn't get a lot, which I'm like, which, in some ways is a good thing, because then you want more, right? And that's a good thing, I guess. But there was enough, but I wanted more. So yeah, so I think, for me, hanging out with the characters, that was a joy. And I can imagine if I had read this in 91, it would have been amazing, because there weren't more films, and I don't even think we knew that there were going to be more films, and the films that are prequels and all that kind of stuff. So getting more from those characters and more in that world, I imagine, would have been fantastic. So, but that is my thoughts on Heir to the Empire. If you want a little bit of the spoilery details, check out my Goodreads review, because I go into a couple of the details, because you can put the spoiler thingies there. And yeah, but I think I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, 29 books in for sci-fi, fantasy, and weird. I've had some ups and downs and slow starts, and but getting back to some of these has been a lot of fun. So thank you so much for watching.